On the eve of his 100th day in office, President Joe Biden will deliver his first address to a joint session of Congress. CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe is live in Washington for us tonight. Ed, this is the first address coming much later in Biden's presidency than in past administrations.
That's right, because remember what was going on in January. We just had the insurrection, we had the inauguration and the impeachment trial of former President Trump. So Congress kept having to push back the date. And by the time it was time to have a speech, they were passing his first big $1 trillion rescue plan. And then it ran into some calendar issues. So they're holding it this week, the latest that a president has first addressed Congress, at least in modern times. And it's a speech that's expected to focus on the ongoing federal response to the pandemic, his push to pass another $4 trillion in economic spending that would focus especially on physical infrastructure, and then ideas like boosting pre-kindergarten programs across the country, free community college for all eligible kids, new child care programs, new tax credits for families with children, and all of it would be paid for with higher taxes on the wealthiest Americans and big corporations.
Tell us more about this American Families Plan that you just mentioned briefly. It's $1.8 trillion, and this is the third multi-trillion-dollar program that he's proposed since coming into office. Tomorrow is his 100th day in office.
That's right. I mean, if you take what was passed earlier this year, the rescue plan, plus the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan he's now introduced, all three together total about $6 trillion. That's a tremendous amount of money, more than really has ever been spent by the federal government at one time. The argument from this White House and from Democrats increasingly, however, is if you want to get out of this pandemic, if you want the economy to return to where it was beforehand and go even further, you've got to start spending this kind of money. And the White House would argue they're backed by polling from CBS and other news organizations that show that for the most part, Americans are okay with doing this right now, given the times we're in.
Yeah. Ed O'Keefe, always good to see you. Thank you for the insight. Ed will be part of CBS's live coverage of the president's address, which you can see tonight at 9 on WBZ. Paula?